I've got a deal for you. What about this? I give you a Platinum American Express card. You can buy anything you want with it every month. You can go out and buy a Lamborghini. You can go shopping at the mall for 15 hours straight. You can get online and order anything you want. And the only deal is you have to pay 10% of the bill when it comes due each month. So, are you up for that? Well, what if I told you you already have that kind of card? It's called the Universal Express card. Which leads me to the topic of our video this time, which is the dynamic law of tithing, or let's call it the prosperity law of tithing. Now, tithing actually goes back thousands of years. Tithe actually, that comes from the Latin word meaning tenth, with the idea that you tithe or you give back 1/10 of your earnings to the source of your spiritual nourishment. Now, I have to tell you, when I teach the prosperity seminars and workshops and my books and things, I get more feedback, more blowback on this than anything. I mean, people are really, I hear, oh, that tithing is just a racket for the churches, and, I can't live on 100% of what I make. How could I possibly get by on 90% if I tithe 10%? Here's all I can tell you my experience was. I got involved. I began studying prosperity. A lot of you know my story. I was so broke. I was in such trouble, so much debt. Everything was broken down in my life. And that's when I began that study of prosperity almost 20 years ago. And along the way, I remember getting the book, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder. And she talked about tithing in there. And then I read the original book, Prosperity by Charles Fillmore, and really began to look at these principles. And I just decided, I have nothing else to lose. I'm $55,000 in debt. I've sold my furniture. I'm sleeping on the floor. My health is shot. My relationships are shot. I got to try this stuff because everything else I've tried, nothing has worked. So I remember I went to the Science of Mind Church in Miami, down in South Miami. It was on Miller Road. And I put $1 in the collection basket, which was, I was down to like my last $6, $7, and I just figured, well, I'm going to round up. I put $1 in there. And I put the $1 in that basket, and I watched that dollar go down the aisle, I was like, oh, God, this is like 1/6 or 1/7 of all my wealth in the whole world. Fascinating thing happened is I got a check on Monday from the Florida Power and Light, and it was a refund check for my deposit. And they said, okay, here's a deposit. I think it was $65 or $75. Because you pay your bill on time every month, you no longer need a deposit, so we're sending your deposit back. Now, that was crazy because I never paid my bill on time. I was late all of the time. I always had to get payment extensions, and they had cut my power off at least 3 or 4 times. So why did they send that money? I believe it's because I put that $1 in the basket. Now, you say, well, wait a minute. You put the $1 in the basket on Monday or Sunday. You got the refund check on Monday. That means it had to be mailed Thursday or Friday. So how do you explain that, Gage? I can't. I just believe it. All I know is I got that check, so I tithe 10% on that. Then I had a guy who had owed me a couple $100 for years. He had moved away to India. He surfaces, comes out of the woodwork, comes back, pays me the money. I tithe 10% on that. And you know what? I've been tithing 10% on every penny I have ever earned since then. And every single year I have made more money than the year before. I'm on this vicious cycle of prosperity. So I believe it. I absolutely believe it's one of those universal laws. Now people say, who do you tithe to? Does giving to charity count? No, charity doesn't count. I give a lot of money to charity, but that's not tithing. Tithing is the source of your spiritual nourishment. Your church, temple, synagogue, mosque, where you get your spiritual nourishment. I know there's people watching this say, well, I don't believe in organized religion, or I don't even believe in God. Well, that's a choice you're going to have to make. Where do you get your spiritual nourishment? The other question I get a lot is, do I tithe on the gross or the net? Well, when you're an employee, you actually tithe on the gross. So if your paycheck is $500, then they take out taxes and you get, 400 or whatever. You actually tithe on the 500 because that's the amount you were rewarded. Now, if you own a business, you're an entrepreneur, and let's say you get $500, it costs you $100 worth of expenses to get the $500. There's 400 left. That's what you actually get paid on. That's what you would tithe on. So here's what I can tell you. It really can seem scary when you tithe for the first time. It really can seem scary if you're in debt, you're broke, you're struggling. And you say this, wait, like I said, I hear so many times, I can't even get by on 100% of what I make. How would I get by on 90? All I will tell you is I get by better on the 90% than I ever got by on the 100%. And then I do charity on top of that. And so I really get by on 75 or 70%. But you know what? It's like these other laws which we've talked about on these videos. The law of giving and receiving, and the imaging law, and some of these. I hope you watch these other videos on this channel. Because when you live by these universal truths, these universal laws, you really do manifest more prosperity in your life, in all areas, whether it's better relationships, better health, the economic and money stuff, the material things, the spiritual things, it's all there. So please, give this a shot, see what it does. Thanks for watching this. Be sure and subscribe to the channel and tell your friends about it. Love you guys all. Hope you're having a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.